Mark Durrant joins us on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline now. He is the radio analyst on the BYU Sports Network, including BYU Radio. Mark, last week we talked about how you wanted more than anything a win versus Utah. So how much better is your life now that BYU beat Utah?
Well, the sun seems to be shining brighter, and my wife and kids are treating me nicer, and everything's just a little bit better. And plus, Jarom, I got to sit next to Spencer for that entire game, which made it even that much more special.
He kept crowding you, though. I was like, scoot over, Spencer. Like, why? Did he really have to be shoulder to shoulder?
Well, he likes to be as close to me as possible. Plus, with his big guns, it's hard to make much room.
True.
He was wearing a pretty sweet royal blue sweater, which I noticed, which I really wanted. I'm going to ask him if I can have it. So, Mark, with so much buildup, and there was a lot of buildup, we've had a couple years to look forward to this game. How did the game measure up to what you expected it to be?
Well, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, that year hiatus, as much as I hated it, I think lent to the anticipation and the excitement and the atmosphere. And I thought the Rock was just fantastic. All there early and decked out in a lot of stuff and great signs. And I mean, that to me is a special and unique environment in college basketball, and you only get that in a handful of arenas every year around the country, to have that kind of rivalry and the fan involvement and the intensity. And so just the lead up to it, I thought was excellent. I thought everybody kind of acted well. I mean, they gave Coach ADK all the jabs he wanted, but it was pretty classy how they did it. And it was fun, and I don't think it was anything malicious or anything. And it was just a fun lead up to it. And then I thought the game itself was an excellent game. I thought BYU was a better team, but Utah, and they are. Whatever I have to say about Coach K is he's an excellent coach, and he gets his team to play hard, and they play good defense. So even though I think BYU was the better team, Utah was always in the game and always coming at BYU, and there was always an intensity and an anxiety that can BYU hold on to this lead. And but I thought some of the performances were a lot of fun. Obviously, Elijah was amazing. Yoli was great, and he kind of had the whole Willis Reed thing going there for a while, and that was interesting. And, of course, Peyton Dastrup with his shot. So it was a really fun game, a hard-fought game in a terrific environment. And I just thought, I mean, that was my whole point all along, guys, is why would you not want this? This is fun. This is good. And I thought everything good about the rivalry was in evidence Saturday night.
Yeah, there's only one person who doesn't want it, and he doesn't really have much say given the national reaction to what happened, and that was a great game. It's on for the foreseeable future. Next year, it's a neutral site, by the way, just a reminder, up in Salt Lake. Elijah Bryant, you mentioned it. His greatest game as a Cougar, in my opinion, 29 points, 5 of 8 from 3. Yoli Childs carried BYU early, but Elijah Bryant put the team on his back the rest of the way. How impressed were you with Elijah's performance?
Elijah intrigues me. He's an interesting guy. He fascinates me. He's just kind of quiet, and he came up after the game last night. We were just kind of in the lobby there, and he just seemed like he just I don't know, taking a final or something. There was no reaction or anything. I think that lends well to being kind of a killer on the court. He just doesn't get flustered. It's a job, it's a business, and some of the shots he takes from three, it's just like he's taking a stroll through the park. No big deal. I'll just shoot this and it goes in, and And I think that helps him, and he's got a lot of tools because of his size at the point guard position. I mean, a lot of times he's got Bibbins on him, and as much as I like Bibbins, I mean, he's 5'8", and Eli's 6'6", and so because of his size and strength at that point guard position, he's going to create a lot of matchup problems for teams, not just Utah, but a lot of teams, and his ability to shoot the three he's really shoot it great from three this year, and you have to get out on him. And then if you do, he has the ability to get in the paint because of his size and his ability to dish. Makes good decisions in there. Sometimes he'll get charges here and there, but that's really the only downside I see from him. And he's able to score against big guys or dish to Yoli or Luke or whoever. And just a matchup nightmare. And it was so fun to watch him play. I think he's a terrific basketball player. And great players play great in great games. And he did that. And that says a lot about him.
The Cougars likely to be 11-2 at the end of non-conference play. If that's what the Cougars end up with, and quite frankly, should be 12-2, as Jarom mentioned earlier in the broadcast, heading into that St. Mary's game, do you expect them to be 12-2 heading into that game against the Gales?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously you don't want to overlook anybody, and I know that the couple of teams that they're going to face have not had a great year. I know Texas Southern has played the toughest schedule in the country, so there's a reason why they're struggling. And they play a lot of road games. But I absolutely think they'll be that record when they play St. Mary's, and I think it's going to be another night like we saw Saturday night. It's going to be a great environment, and you've got a conference rival, and certainly if you're playing against a team that you're going to compete for a conference title with at home, your first game, that's a big deal to win that. Maybe if you're on the road, you might lose that game. But if you expect to win a title, you got to beat those teams. This is your opportunity. You can't count on them losing to Pepperdine. I mean, you've got them on your home floor, get the job done. And maybe before the season, I don't know that I thought BYU could do that. But I think St. Mary's is more beatable this year than they have been the last couple years. And I think BYU's better equipped to beat them. And they've got the confidence. So, I mean, everything's trending well for BYU. But as you guys know, that can change in one game. And you've got to really be focused. A lot of distractions with Christmas and finals and things. You need to take care of business. And then when the opportunities come, like they did Saturday night, you take advantage of them. And I'm excited to see all the games. But St. Mary's is on my list for sure.
It would be a late Christmas present for BYU fans to get a win against St. Mary's. Mark Durrant, the radio analyst for the past 87 years, who's getting emails as we speak, joins us on BYU Sports Nation. Do you need to answer any of those?
Have I not told you I'm a big, important lawyer?
You have. I think big shot was the phrase I think you used. Is BYU better at this point in the season than you thought they'd be?
Yeah. I mean, you don't just lose Eric Mika and think you're going to be better. And I don't know that they are necessarily, but they've changed some things, and there's a focus on things and the style of play that they're playing. And, it's all about, I hate the trite phrase, but it's about chemistry, really. And I think this team has a really nice chemistry, and there's an unselfishness there. And it's all kind of coming together. And so, when I came in, that's all I can reference is my playing days. They just lost Mike Smith, and they picked us to be at the bottom of the conference. And I'm not a better player than Mike Smith. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. But we had a nice chemistry, and we started winning, and we ended up winning the conference and going to the tournament. And so, I mean, there's a real value to that, and a kind of a buy-in to what the coaches want you to do, and part of that comes from doing it and then having success, and then this is the right way, so let's do it even better. So I definitely, I just had a lot of questions coming into the season, and some of those are being answered, and I wondered about the health, particularly of Elijah Bryant. He hadn't been too durable. And I knew he had to be healthy for BYU to be successful. And but I tell you what, I think the team kind of felt it before. I mean, I went to a luncheon and sat down with Yoli and just talking to him, and we were talking about the Utah game. And he's like, hey, Mark, don't worry, we got this. I play with those guys. We're going to win this game. Don't even worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay, Yoli, I'm trying to believe you, man. But they have a little bit of a swagger and a confidence and a chemistry that I think has gone a long way for them so far.
Well, Mark, great insight. We appreciate the time, and we got to let you go because you're a big-time lawyer.
I got to get to these emails, man. Sorry about that.
Got lawyering to do.
He's got so many emails to answer. Mark, we appreciate the time, man.
Of course, guys. Have a good one.